Stop with Don and James. I'm James.
I'm Don. What's going on,
Don.
James?
I know, man. Not a bad Grand Prix over in Hungary. Actually, pretty decent. I was pleasantly surprised.
That's right. Last race before the summer break, and it was very interesting, which I think defied expectations. A lot of people, including you, I think, were kind of bagging on it a little bit last time. But a lot of people think of it as a sort of Monaco of a race where it's very hard to overtake. But yeah, it produced. It had some fun, and not just in the race too. I thought qualifying was pretty exciting.
Yeah, qualifying was pretty exciting. Maybe just to kind of touch on the no passing really quick before we actually get started. Some decent maneuvers by a couple drivers. We had Max Verstappen doing a double overtake down into turn one, passing Hamilton for position along with a back marker. Classic Max Verstappen doing the deep dive, almost copying his boy Danny Rick. So that was a pretty good one. And then we had Hamilton outside of turn five going around, I believe it was Hadjar. I think he did it twice. He did it to Hadjar, and I think he did it to one of the racing bulls, maybe
Yeah,
Lindblad or
Lindblad.
was it Lindblad? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
fresh out of the pit.
That's right.
And made up ground immediately, which was pretty nice. I like that move.
Yeah. So, man, that's sort of classic Hamilton right there. He really put it out there today. Obviously, a bit of a bummer that he had a three-place grid penalty going in, and then same thing with Kimi Antonelli starting with a three-place grid penalty. So a couple of people out of position for the start of the race.
Right.
But yeah, overall not a bad one. Not a
Well,
bad
and
one.
and you can't forget when talking about the passes, the dummy move that Piastri put on his teammate on Lando, and
Yeah.
snagged the race lead. It was pretty slick move. Classic. Can't
Yeah.
remember what turn they were going into.
I don't recall either, but yeah, Piastri had a good race. I'll say had in the
Yeah,
past tense.
for the most part, it was a good race until he had to retire the car. And there was a couple other little snafus, I guess, too. Besides that, he got hung up in some back marker traffic and kind of kind of wrecked his race. In fact, there might have even been contact, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, we were just jumping full feet into it. But no, that's good. Yeah, we can kind of go back a little bit. Maybe we'll start off with Aston Martin. They came with a bunch of upgrades to the car, but it basically looks like a brand new car.
Yeah,
with everything that they've changed on it, the back wing, the front wing, the side pods, everything had a little bit of something on it. Started off kind of rough. We had Stroll with a suspension failure during FP1, which was hard to watch. With all the upgrades coming in, I wasn't expecting them to have a suspension failure. But Lance, being the pro that he is, saved it, which is nice, I guess. They did almost have a coming together in FP3, which was dicey. That was scary. That was scary.
I didn't. I did not see the FP3 when it happened. So take me through it. Like what happened there?
They were just coming down to the corner, kind of at the same time, and they weren't giving enough room, which I think is pretty believable. You know, Stroll not always being fully aware of his surroundings, and Alonso being the aggressive driver that he is. It's just kind of a clashing of personalities out on the track, and it almost translated into a crash, unfortunately. But managed to not have any real damage, which was nice. Hitting your own teammate, of course, is the cardinal sin of racing. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, the suspension failure and somehow Lance not putting it in the wall. A rare shout out for Lance.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're giving it to him a little bit critically, but yeah. I to be honest with you, the weekend for Aston was one of my favorite things of this weekend. It was just to see them go from being, I mean, just absolute trash, the worst team out there, sometimes getting beat by Cadillac, who has came into this season with no expectations, has been just disastrous. Now they went and made a clear jump. And I guess we'll see in the upcoming races whether um, this improvement sticks. But it was like they went not only from the back to, they kind of relegated a couple other teams behind them. Uh, Unfortunately, one of those teams seems to be Williams. not to not to bum you out, but they jumped
Yeah.
Williams, they jumped Haas, and left Cadillac in the dust. They even finished the race this week ahead of one of the Alpines. So, um, I mean, let's hope that that means that Newey's got this thing going in the right direction. He actually did press this week, and I haven't really seen him do a lot of press, but he was out there and talking about his the car and the upgrades that they brought. So I got my fingers crossed for Aston that this is a big monumental step forward.
Actually, finishing the race, I think, is a step forward. I was looking back their their racing record for each individual driver, and so Lance Stroll he had a non compete, which I think he only did 15 laps in at the opener of Australia. So not fully classified as a DNF non compete. I don't think he hit a certain amount of distance. We had And then on top of that, he has 6 DNFs. So he's only finished the race 3 times, with his highest position being 15th in Canada. Well, I say Canada today would be his highest, finishing 13th. And then you look at his teammate, um, Fernando Alonso. He also had a DNF in Australia. I don't even think he made it off the line in Australia. Um, so he's got 4 DNFs to his name. He does have the 1 point, right, finishing 10th in Monaco, but everywhere else, um, he's kind of been at the back. So I would put this as kind of like one of his better drives, and I think that all just kind of comes down to pit stops. Hungary is the track where, um, kind of like how Monaco is. However your pit stop goes, that's pretty much how you're going to do the rest of the race. And so with all the shuffling around that we had, I mean, there was a lot of pit stops going on today, and I think that is really what helped him.
Yeah, I will say that Alonso was quite a ways ahead of Stroll for quite some time, and they didn't really give them any coverage on the broadcast. And at one point, then Stroll jumped him as a result of must have been some pit stop that they didn't really talk about. So I must not have been paying attention, but uh, then Alonso dropped back and ultimately finished right behind Stroll. So a couple interesting things. One, like I said, they were uh, they finished P13 and 14, which is a good improvement for them. Uh, Lance finished ahead of Fernando, which is unusual, and then the fact that Fernando made up all that room, because at one point after his pit stop, he was, I don't know, it was like 3 positions behind Lance, and he made it all the way back up. So it seemed like something's going right. Like there's some ability in that car, um, and well, with the upgrades that they brought, and they brought a lot of upgrades. I think that they did. It was like 20 something out upgrades to the car. I don't know what all of them were. I haven't looked up what all they upgraded, but they were talking about it in the coverage, and so that was, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to have my eye on them. We go into the break. There's a couple weeks where they can't touch the car. Nobody can be at the factory. Then they'll get a chance to do some stuff while they're in the break. And let's see if they can keep building on it. I have faith in Newey. I really do. I think I did not expect it to. I did not expect that they will just suck forever. I think with him, they'll get it. They'll get it done. And there was some press actually. Fernando Alonso, during the media day or whatever, he said similarly that he expects the Newey car to eventually find it, and um, so that was really encouraging. I think this weekend to see them make that big jump.
Yeah, you had mentioned earlier that Fernando made it all the way to Q2, which was a pleasant surprise. Although he did qualify at the back at 16th, which uh, maybe not so surprising. But finishing 13th and 14th as a team, I think this is a step forward
Yeah,
for Aston Martin in the right direction.
yeah.
I think now that the car is a little more stable and a little bit better, I think that the next step is just going to be the power unit. Now, once they could dial that in, I think you're right. They will be unstoppable. Maybe not unstoppable, but definitely be more competitive and hopefully fighting for at least, being in the points.
And Honda expects to bring a power unit update, I think, for the next race actually. So I think that they have a chance here to build on the momentum. So yeah, good day
Yeah,
for
not bad.
Aston.
Yeah, good day for Aston. Maybe we could shift gears and talk about a team that didn't have such a good day, and that is Cadillac. Suffering their second suspension failure of the year, I believe, right? The last time they had one was in Canada, I think, running over the curbs, and it just
Hmm.
disintegrated. And then this time it was for Perez, who
Yeah,
I can't remember if he had it last time or not. It might have been Botas that had it last time, but yeah, second suspension failure, and then a brake fire. No brakes on the car for Botas today. Had to use the wall actually to slow down while
yeah,
his brakes were on fire, which was bizarre. Man, things are just going bad to worse for that team.
yeah. Not what you want to see. We had high hopes for the American team. We never expected them to be out there competing for wins or anything like that, but they did. You know, you definitely, from what I'm seeing, they gotta focus on reliability. It's almost like finishing races is priority number one. Like, let's get the car to where it can get around the circuit for as many laps as that the race is. So, and that's it sucks when they just keep dropping out because for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously you want to see these guys finish the race just because that's what you do, but uh, the completing the laps is what gets you the data and the information that you need to build and make the car better. And so if they keep dropping out early, then, and I feel like for some reason Botas, I haven't gone back to look at the numbers, but I feel like it's been Botas's car more than Sergio Perez's car that is dying, and his car went out. I mean, he wasn't. They weren't even in the race for very long. Botas retired very early. He was the first guy out of the race, and yeah, he was just reporting smoke coming into his cockpit. It's like, man, another car fire, and it was his brakes. They were lit up. They
Yeah,
were definitely flaming, and so yeah, I don't know. I th- I think we give them a lot of the benefit of the doubt because they are new, but yeah, they gotta work on this reliability thing.
agreed. Um, yeah, it's been tough to watch. Botas, he has, including today, he has 6 DNFs. That's a pretty hefty chunk.
You have the
No, five. He's got five today. I apologize, including today.
what about Checo? Do you where does he sit?
For Perez, let's have a look here. Sergio Perez, including today, he has four.
So it's
So
pretty
four and
even.
six. So I mean, reliability's kind of been a struggle across all the teams, right? I think every team has had a retirement at least once. That might be a bit of an overstatement, but I mean, nobody's been immune to it, right? We saw with Mercedes, each driver has had at least one, right? There was that one in Canada with Russell that kind of kicked it off for the Mercedes team. Um, so yeah, it's just affecting everybody, but it just kind of is the way it is, right? That's the way the power units are, and that's a component that I think a lot of teams thought would be a lot easier than it actually is, and it's shaping up to not be. So I'm hoping that after the summer break, once the teams get back, have a little R&R, maybe do a little brainstorming in the off season, that they'll be able to come back with some ideas to help with the reliability and keep them out on track.
I do kind of wonder about the suspensions. I feel like we've seen an inordinate number of suspension failures this year, which maybe I'm wrong. I've never thought to look into it, but I'm wondering if those broken suspensions have anything to do with the way that they're setting these cars up for ride height. Given that this is not a ground effect car, the downforce in searching for the downforce, they're setting them up. I don't know, too low, or I'm not really sure because it feels like these curbs have been punishing these cars a little bit more than I remember in the past. But just kind of a passing thought, more than something I ever looked into.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
there was a radio message. Maybe we can just kind of point it out that Oscar Piastri had a DNF today, right? He had a power unit failure. I think it was specifically the gearbox.
yep,
And then later on in the race, towards the end, they told Lando, like, hey, stay off the curbs. We think that's what caused the failure in Oscars. So, yeah, I guess these curbs are a little bit more punishing than other curbs
yeah,
could be. I mean, curbs, going back in the history in the Rolodex of my mind, I think that's a pretty. I wouldn't say it's uncommon to hear, your racing strategist or your whoever's running the radio for you to tell you to stay off the curbs. These cars are designed to be on flat surfaces, and those curbs cause those little micro vibrations in the car that they're not prepared to fully handle.
right. Yeah, and some curbs, they make them bigger than others, and so it's always a matter of the drivers kind of feeling out the track. Where can they take more curb and when can they not? And but yeah, if it's gonna wreck the car, the engineers kind of getting on the radio telling them to knock it off. They even made point of they even made a point of it in the broadcast. I don't remember if it was today or yesterday that the Ferraris seemed to be taking the curbs better than others. Others getting bounced around, and what happens, of course, when you have a wheel come up off the ground, now when that wheel comes back down on the ground, you've got uneven distribution of power, which can spin you, and so a lot of cars were having that problem. But somehow the Ferraris were getting back onto the ground quicker than others. So I don't know. To me, what that screams of is ride height and how much wiggle room they've got to hit that curb. So anyhow, very interesting. I mean, those are like micro details that this sport is all about. How much curb can you take? How much ride height setup are you gonna go with? And that seems to make a big difference in this game. And I think especially now with these new uh, these new regulations, it seems to be making a different effect.
Yeah, and maybe kind of more to that point, when I was watching the race, they mainly followed Verstappen and Hamilton for the first half of the race until Hamilton pit. And then, after the pit stops, it was right back on them because they came right back out next to each other. But their driving lines were so unbelievably different. Max, it seemed through almost every corner, specifically like the first corner and the last corner, and even the second to last corner. He was taking a really wide line going like as kind of far away from the curbs, whereas Hamilton was just hugging up right against the curbs. And I don't know if that was him just kind of, he said he was having shifter issues. Maybe that was him just kind of running wider than he thought, and he just couldn't adapt to it, which I think that is unlikely for Verstappen. He is very good at adapting to the situations that he's in. But if that's just the line that he was running, it was really odd to watch. Just how different the lines could be at this track, and still
Yeah.
still cause like not give up position super easy.
Yeah, I don't know what was behind that. Max, I think, is known for being a front end driver, meaning he comes in, does not take a wide line. He takes a tight line and is an aggressive turn taker. So I don't know, different strategy. Maybe he was putting his car wide, making it harder for Lewis to find a way around, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure
Yeah.
on that one. But it was a good day for Max. He had a lot of complaints on the radio, but he finished the race in second, and really really drove a clean race despite all of his frustration with the downshifts. He's been complaining about downshifts pretty much all season, I feel like he's not liking the downshift that he's
He's just
got.
complaining every
So
race about
that's
something,
true.
huh?
Despite the complaints, he had a good day. I haven't quite figured out what to make of Red Bull, and they had a decent day. I think they're kind of sneakily lurking around there, and so I think down in the second half of this season, we got to keep our eye on them because today Max took P2, which was fantastic result. Really good, really good drive for him. Pretty
Yeah, moved
clean.
up 2 positions.
And then Hajar put in a P6, which is not bad. He was behind a Mercedes and both Ferraris. So Hajar's kind of getting it done, bringing in some points for them. I'm kind of watching them because I think that they could end up moving up in the standings. They're P4 right now. They're behind McLaren, and they're a ways back there. They're 47 points back. So they could sneak up on them.
Yeah, I've been noticing Mercedes is not as dominant as they started out the season. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Point being, Lando finished P1 today and Verstappen finished P2. But even, going back before that, we had for qualifying, Kimi got a 3 place grid penalty, but he was still below both McLarens. Unusual. So maybe the tide is starting to shift. Maybe Mercedes just hasn't brought the upgrade that they need yet. Maybe that'll swing back the other way. But it's shaping up to be a little more interesting than we originally thought. I thought Mercedes, specifically Kimi, was just gonna take it and run with it all stinking season. But this was a nice little shakeup.
Right. Yeah, I think we all probably expect that the other teams will catch up a little bit because it's new regulations and there's a lot of finding out that people need to do to learn how to maximize the regulations and get the most out of their cars. We have lots of cars using a Mercedes power unit as well, right? So McLaren is one of those, and they figured it out for today, and they think I feel like McLaren is finding something. This is 2 weeks in a row. They've been better than they have been all season. They won the race. Oscar was competitive until the gearbox died on him. But we also mentioned, I think last week, that McLaren brought in some upgrades, or they actually, I think, replaced some parts, including I think their battery, which made them have to take a grid penalty. But it seems to have worked out, and I think Mercedes themselves, they're going to get to that point, and when they change out, they could be back to leading the way, because I don't know, there is a life on these batteries in particular. They're not in peak operating window for very long, and then they start to degrade. So I think when Mercedes makes some component swaps that are going to cost them grid places because they'll have to take penalties for them, then they'll be pushing again. And I think that they will bring upgrades too, just like you said. That they We can expect that from a team as good as Mercedes. So
Yeah. Well, big shout out to Lando Norris. Obviously, he is I think he's the fifth different race winner we've had this season, right? Yeah, fifth different and third constructor. So that's a nice little variety. I wish it would be a little more consistent, but we're still half a season to go, which is a long ways to go. I think the season ends in, oh man, doesn't it end like October, maybe November?
this when the season ends,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
When's the
going
last
it's
when's the
going to
last
go into
race?
early
December, right?
December. Yeah,
Oh man, we still got we still got 6 more months to go.
I know it's a long way out there.
It's a very
Well,
long ways out there.
was it you that shared they're replacing one of the canceled Grand Prix?
That's right. Bahrain is being moved to Malaysia. We have not raced in Malaysia since I think it's 2017. So almost a full decade since we've been there, which is a bummer. I've always loved the Malaysian Grand Prix. I think it's a very Awesome track. I think it's almost akin, in my perspective, I would say it's akin to Belgium in just that it has like sweeping corners, but it's also got a couple really tight ones in there. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't know if
right.
a monsoon's gonna show up and like ruin things, but hopefully it'll be hopefully it'll be good. And I believe they're supposed to be there the first weekend of October is what I think I saw is when they're moving it to. So a couple months out. Uh, I'm excited for it. But shifting back, I think we could talk about Russell. Dude is just having a rough go. Last time out at Spa, he was having battery issues, right? And then jumping off the line today, had anti-stall. I think he fell all the way back to like 18th or 20th. Like he was really
20th.
far. 20th. Okay, yeah. He was really far back there and it was just clawing his way up today. Ultimately finished 7th, which coming from 20th all the way up is, that's a pretty good run, I think, especially on this track, which is notoriously hard to pass on. So good for Russell.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from you on that one?
I mean, I don't know what to make of it. Anti-stall to me seems like a driver error. Like it doesn't kick into anti-stall unless you drop the clutch wrong, right? Like that's what it's supposed to be for. So it was really disappointing that he had that. I mean, I guess if it was not his fault, that's maybe a little bit different. But yeah, he's a little bit snake bit, man. He's just like little things keep going wrong for him. Um, he even another just another just weird oddity. He came in for a pit stop and it was like almost 5 seconds pit stop instead of a 2.5 seconds pit stop. I mean, just that. I'm assuming that's not his fault, but like just sometimes when stuff starts to go wrong, it's like it's when it rains, it pours. Sometimes with a driver, and so I mean, he made kind of the most out of it, but it was still. I mean, that's not where he needs to be. He's got to be making inroads on Kimmy, and everything just broke against him for that. So the gap widened between him and Kimmy today because Kimmy got a P3 and George got a P7. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And Hamilton is pulling away from Russell. He's now got a 9 point lead over Russell. So not a terribly wide gap, but it is lengthening.
right, yeah. Well, and so Lewis, that's another storyline, I guess that's been interesting. He's looked great. He's had some great results. He's won a race this year. Uh, but he also is kind of getting smoked with penalties. He
Yeah,
got a 5 second penalty for speeding in the pit lane today. He got the three grid place penalty for impeding Oscar Piastri during qualifying. And so you kind of have to think what could have been with Lewis. That's a lot of penalizing, and he finished P5. You'd like to think he would have been on the podium at the very least, had he not messed those couple of things up. And the impeding Oscar thing in the qualifying, I mean, that was just egregious. Like
that
he
was
was
so silly.
clearly right in his way. I don't know how he missed that, and that really screwed him because he would have been starting the race P2, right?
I believe so. Yeah, let me look. Yeah, he qualified second, but had to start all the way down in fifth. So, um, I will say Lewis Hamilton getting off the line, he made a really good jump to get ahead of his teammate. I think that's just Leclerc having a rough go getting off the line because he fell back and both Max and Lewis got ahead of him. So that's sort of a tough way to start your race,
Right.
um, especially when you're starting P2 and then you finish all the way down in P4. That's kind of a rough one to swallow.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't know if you can recall, but back at the beginning of this season, the Ferraris were just deadly off the line. They were smoking everybody,
Yes.
including Mercedes, off the line, and things have seemed to even out a little bit. So they are getting good starts, but it's, they aren't like just eating everyone up like they were.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, everybody was on a two-stop strategy, with the exception of a handful of people. We had both Ferraris doing a three-stop because they started on. They were the only front runners to start on the softs, if I remember correctly, and so like they had to pit early. And under the
Mm-hmm.
VSC that was brought out by Piastri, they took the opportunity to pit, which I think it could have gone either way. I do think pitting was the right move in that instance, especially around Hungary. Like you need all the advantages you can to get around people, and then we also had Lando Norris, who took advantage as well. Ultimately kept first, so it was. I don't know. When I first saw that the Ferraris were going to be the only ones on the softs at the front runners, I was like, oh man, these guys botched it yet
Yeah.
again. Like I was like, this is just. There's no way this is going to go well for them. And I think in reality, the VSC really saved them. You know, but it,
Yeah.
who's to really say? They might have just stayed where they were had they not pit.
I had to you had to think, this is my thought process anyway. When I saw that they were starting on the softs, they believe track position is everything on this track, right? They think the best chance to pass is at the start, and they think that the best tire to get the pass is the soft. So they go for the jump, and then they hope that the race settles in and they keep that track position because it's so hard to overtake on this track. That was what I thought they must have been thinking, and it was just kind of ended up being a little bit more of a wild ride than that. Found that they really got the benefit of those softs at the beginning, and then like you said, like they counted on the VSC to give them a cheap pit stop. So, but yeah, kind of an interesting day for Ferrari. Um, I felt like they it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad day for them. They ended up with what was it, P4 and 5.
Yeah,
But they
not a bad day, right?
Yeah, and that was with Hamilton getting a penalty. So I don't know. It was okay, but I think they want better than that. They don't. They definitely don't want to be outdone by the Red Bulls. I think they can live
Yeah,
with getting outdone by the Mercedes, just because the Mercedes are the dominant car this year. Oops. But they want to be ahead of McLaren. They want to be ahead of Red Bull. So
yeah.
anyway,
Some other notable mentions. Your boy Nico getting his first points of the season. He finally did it.
that's right. Yeah, he hung on to it. He was around the P10 area. He qualified P10 and then was around that area for a while, but then jumped a Racing Bulls car. I guess it was Lindblad, and he got P9. So he wasn't satisfied with his first point of the year. He had to go for the plural. Got 2 points at P9. So yeah, I was pumped. Finally got it.
Yeah. Uh, After every race, just being right on the outside, 11th and 12th, finally making the jump. So big ups to Nico Hulkenberg. Now the only ones without points are Cadillac and Lance Stroll. In all fairness, what did we say? Lance Stroll's only finished 3 races, 4 races this
Yeah,
year, so not a lot of opportunity for Stroll to get some points. But still half a
yeah,
season. Anything else is possible.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, uh, I really want to see that over the break that Cadillac does something. I really want to see them. I mean, threaten for points at least. I want to see them threaten for points. There was a couple of races. Well, I think I'm remembering one race, and I don't remember which track it was even at now. But like Sergio was like P12 around there, like for a while, and then ended up finishing the race further back. But um, well, because he got a penalty. Well,
He got a
now
penalty. He was going to finish P10, I think, and get a point.
that's right. That's
and
right.
he got a penalty.
Uh, we gotta
I know,
we
tough,
got
tough.
we can't lose faith. We gotta hope for this American team to figure some stuff out. Maybe they need to get Brad Pitt involved somehow. Uh, Rusty, we gotta get Rusty.
That's right.
Pull some shenanigans.
Um, and then maybe just one more notable mention: Carlos Sainz holding up Piastri and making contact with him. Uh, Rookie move? I don't know. In all fairness, like he was actually in a battle with the car ahead of him, and like there were blue flags going on. I think he was just so focused on the battle at hand that he wasn't cognizant of everything else going on around him.
Mm.
And that's kind of on his team as well. His team should have been like, hey, just so you know, the race leader is coming up behind you. You should probably move out of the way.
Yeah, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
And
unexcusable, I think, right?
ultimately, Piastri retired, so he was in Piastri's way, right, and kind of
Yeah,
cost it swung the balance, the net lead of the race balance to Lando. So I guess maybe Lando needs to uh, buy a little gift for Carlos. In the
I
end, I
think
don't know.
Lando would have taken him anyways. I mean, Lando was just so much faster than Piastri.
Right.
Because there was a time where Lando was ahead of Oscar, and I think he pulled out like an 8 second gap, a 10 second gap, something like that. He was just nowhere to be found.
Right. Well, and they were even talking possible team orders when it was Oscar one, Lando two, and Lando was like, "Look, I'm faster. I know I'm faster." They clearly had Lando had it, and this track is one that he's good at. So, um, in the end, it was a sort of non-controversial way to get it back to Lando and let him be in the lead and just run away with it. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
but
didn't want a fiasco like 24.
right.
No, that was
It
that was ridiculous.
it was at this track, right, where they
It
had
was
that
at this track, yeah.
uh, team order situation, and became controversial even later when they were like, well, why are we not doing team orders when we did it in Hungary? So
Yep.
so yeah, we haven't gotten ourselves into that mess with McLaren, the papaya rule, papaya
No.
rule stuff any this season at all. So,
Yeah,
but
24 is where it really came to a head. And then last year they kind of backed off a little bit. Because even last year, um, Piastri and Norris were going at it in the closing laps of the race. So
yeah,
uh, yeah, don't want to make that mistake again of just telling your teammate. I think like yeah, Norris he was making he was making the claim like, oh, I'm so much faster, like just let me through. If it was in the middle, if they were in the middle of the pack, right, like running like ninth or 10th, and the guy in front of him is getting away, then I would say, yeah, do the switch and make an effort. If you can't do it, switch it back. But when it's for the lead of the race, you can't ask to be in first if it's your teammate. Like that's so silly, right? Like they're not going to do that.
right. Yeah, yeah. We hate to see it as fans. They hate it as racers. They at some point throw the math and the long term strategy out the window and let these guys compete. Like
Yeah, I think
just
that was a little too aggressive from Norris to ask to just be placed in first by the team.
yeah,
That's so ridiculous.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
almost goes back to Mercedes doing that with Bottas. I hated that too.
oh yeah, give it to Lewis. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I hated that.
yeah, yeah. It hurts the integrity, to us as fans too. I felt like on our group chat at least, there was a lot of anti Hamilton uh, stuff back in the day, way back years ago. It's like,
Hmm.
well, come on, quit doing this team order stuff. Like, make him earn it, kind of a thing. If he's a all time great, he's gotta win it outright. But
That's right.
yeah, so. anyway, it's hard to know. I mean, there's a lot of things at play, and if you were strictly a team guy that was trying to maximize points and maximize money and all that kind of stuff, it would be. I think that would cloud the pure competition a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. Um,
should we
bold
recap our?
predictions.
Yeah, should we recap
Yeah.
our bolds?
It is. We got nothing. We just got nothing.
An
this,
O for
and
all
we're
around.
0 for 6 on this one. I said Kimmy was going to be P1, which he was not. I said there was going to be a crash into turn one with a DNF. There was contact, but no DNF, and no real crash either. Everything was kind of uh, inconsequential, a few tire rubs and whatnot. And then I said 5 constructors in the top 5, which there was 4. So
You were
I was
close.
pretty close. I was close. I was one off. Um, that being said, uh, I don't think I would have made that anyways, because Racing Bulls would have had to be in the top 5, and that's a little too bold, I think.
It was those damn Ferraris. They,
Yeah, those
they.
them pairing up, but then Hadjar was right there in 6th, so
Well,
and
yeah,
then
that's right.
Mercedes right there, so it would have had to been Liam Lawson. He would have had to pull something out pretty substantial.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, gosh, you might even have to help remind me what all I said, but I think I had Charles winning the race. I put
Yep.
that against your Kimmy, and Charles was not really competitive for this race. It would have possibly been competitive with Lewis had he not gotten the grid penalties for the stupid impeding that he pulled in qualifying. But in the end, neither of those guys was really jockeying for P1. I also had, what else did I have? I had
You had Gabby P8 or better.
yeah, I thought Bortoletto because he'd finished P8 for a couple of races in a row. I think last year he was all right at this track. I thought maybe he could pull another one, but he was out of the points in P11. In fact, he was kind of causing people grief, not being very generous with his blue flags and moving over
Mm-hmm.
for the front cars. So Gabby not doing me right there. And then my last one was what did I say?
That was all 3 of them. You had Charles P1, you had Gabby P8, and then you had Russell ahead of Kimmy. I think that
Russell
was your
ahead of
last
Kenny.
one.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was not even wasn't even close there. I thought Russell was going to come out with a better fight, and maybe he would have done better had he not had anti-stall off the line, but he wasn't fast at this track anyway. He didn't seem particularly good in any phase, so I was wishful thinking.
yeah. And maybe just one more thing. I got to do my favorite part of the recap. The Everybody from P8 down was a lap down.
The lead lap recap, that's what we got to call
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Liam Lawson in P8, he was a lap down. Everybody else behind was a lap down, with the exception of Colapinto, Ocon, and the 2 Williams and Behrman. They were all 2 laps down. So both Haas, both Williams, and the Alpine Colapinto.
Yeah, we're seeing a pretty big spread this year, right? Like the back markers are further back than they were under the old regs. So I expected that to tighten up. I still kind of do expect it to tighten up a little bit, but it's not tighten up as fast as I thought it would. I thought we'd start to see fewer and fewer cars off the lead lap, but I'm not really seeing that come to
Yeah.
fruition yet. So
I might need to look closer at Haas, because they have just been moving backwards this year. That maybe we can look at that in like an off-season episode.
yeah, we're over the break here. We've
Yeah,
got a month now before Zandvoort, right? Is our
that's right. Zandvoort is our next race.
so we'll have to at least do one episode in the summer break. I don't know if that's what you were thinking, but that's what I'm thinking. Maybe we'll have to come in, do some Zandvoort bold predictions at the very least, right?
That's right. We could definitely do that. Yeah. So I think I'm eating crow here. It was a bit of a decent race. I liked it a lot more than I thought it was going to. So
If
This is a
if
good
you're
one, man.
if
I'm
you're gonna
happy.
eat if you're gonna eat crow, at least that's the right direction. You're pleasantly surprised with a track or a race or an outcome or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You wanna talk
I'm
about
not
how great a
disgruntled in
place
any
is,
way.
right? Yeah, if you don't want to talk about how great a race is and then have it be a snooze, you want it to go the other way. Expect a snooze and
Exactly.
then get something good.
Yeah. Well, awesome, man. Thanks for joining up with me today and recapping the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Yeah, you bet, man. And hey, we didn't mention it. If people are tuning in and wondering, I shaved off the long-standing beard I've had, so that's why I'm so baby-faced today.
Yeah, and you're in your all your McLaren gear
McLaren,
for Lando winning.
that's right.
I'm rocking my Aston Martin hat with a Ferrari shirt today.
Very
Uh,
good, very good.
two teams that I thought had a decent performance.
I wore my old McLaren hat because it was like, hey, this is like a return to the old
You
days.
have to throw that thing out, man.
I know it is so hammered, right? I will not throw it out because I'm going to wear it to every Grand Prix that I go to because that's how it gets so gross. It's all faded and sweat stained from being out in the sun at a Grand Prix. So this is my Grand Prix hat.
All right, man. I'll let you keep that. That's fine. All right, man. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm gonna say adios.
Adios.